the story needs it, so I don't know what's happening. Okay. We're recording.
across the globe, Ben Norris, Rob McKnight and David Robinson.
Ben, Rob and Robbo. News, reviews, entertainment too. It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Here's Rob McKnight.
Hello there and welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. It's so great to have your company for this Wednesday. We've got a big show planned up. We've got the eliminated contestants from Big Brother and Masterchef. Yes, two rival networks on the same platform at the same time. David Robinson, Ben Norris, Robbo, that's how we roll here at the Ben, Rob and Davo Show.
No, I don't know about that. Are you trying to recast? Because you can't because my name.
Yes, I've got a guy called Davo just over there ready to go.
He's rubbish. Well, he might not be. Hello there, Rob.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, well, thank you. You?
Yeah, I'm high on life. Ben, because I sleep well now, see? You know, that story we did the other week about the sleeping? Go and find it on YouTube if you haven't seen it.
Did you
it
need
will
to
change
quickly just to pay for that machine? Do you need to say where you got it from or something? No?
No, I paid for that myself, thank you very much. Ben, how are you on this fine day? Do you ever sleep?
I never sleep. I actually just live inside this room and just appear on, all of these different shows. But look, I'm in Melbourne, and I know it doesn't really look like it. Looks like I'm in some kind of Armageddon. But what do you think of my new set? I finally managed to put it up.
I like it. I like it. We are slowly getting the lighting right on our sets and everything like that. I feel like my backdrop's getting closer. That's the kind of shading we want. Those dark colours, the blacks coming out. So it's all been a bit of it's a work in progress, isn't it, boys? In between the millions of other things we're doing.
I think it looks good. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it looked good that I finally could get it up.
You know what, Ben? You've had a few issues with that, so yes, I'm glad you could as well.
Oh no. Anyway, I renege on what I just said. I feel really that's the wrong turn of phrase.
Oh, it's all good. It was a double entendre. That's fine. Look, we've got a lot coming up, as I said, but let's get straight into our hot button issues. And New York police boss Mike O'Meara has blasted the media and legislators in an emotional press conference.
This isn't stained by someone in Minneapolis. It's still got a shine on it. And so do theirs. So do theirs. Stop treating us like animals and thugs and start treating us with some respect. That's what we're here today to say. We've been left out of the conversation. We've been vilified. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Trying to make us embarrassed of our profession. 375 million interactions. Overwhelmingly positive. Nobody talks about all the police officers that were killed in the last week in the United States of America, and there were a number of them. We don't condone Minneapolis. We roundly reject what he did as disgusting. It's disgusting. It's not what we do. It's not what police officers do. Our legislators abandoned us. The press is vilifying us. Well, you know what, guys? I'm proud to be a cop. And I'm going to continue to be proud to be a cop until the day I retire. And that's all I have to say.
Ben, what do you think?
Oh God, I was like, please don't come to me. Please don't come to me. I think that the message is okay. I just think it's not the right time for them to be saying.
Yes.
I think I see where they're coming from. It's just not the right time to be saying that. I think the language choices were poor. I understand that this is a really emotional time for a lot of people in America, and I could see where he was trying to go with it. It could have been really powerful had he had a little bit more understanding of everybody. It just seemed really white when I looked at all those faces, and there was a few things being created there. The clip's hard to watch.
You know, Ben, it's interesting that on this very show, we've talked about what a great job the police do, but there's no denying there have been some really bad instances. Police cars have been ramming through people. Protesters have been just beaten. It hasn't been a good look for the police force, has it?
Well, we're only seeing certain things. So, we are highlighting a lot of negative stuff right now.
Sure.
So, look, it is very difficult. And I think that's where the message I felt is kind of right to a certain extent, but it just the whole thing makes me nervous. Go to Robbo.
Robbo, what I will say, and I haven't included the shot here because I haven't validated its authenticity, but there is a shot going around of someone who is believed to be that very same man in front of a flag, a New York City police flag, with a T-shirt on saying, "I can breathe."
Look, it's what we need is inclusion at the moment, not division. Yeah, I agree with Ben. I think that this could have been handled much better. There's obviously anger there, and when we obviously we don't know about that picture, and if that comes to light, that's also disturbing. I get their anger. However, your police, their police, you don't condone what they did, that's fine. But the point is that it was done, and it was done behind a police uniform and
Yes.
behind the police brand. So you can condemn it, but don't come out. You know what I would have liked is that he condemned it first. That he said that we don't do that here. We've had all of these things, but he didn't. He came out and demanded respect. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, overall, most officers, police, are good and do very well jobs around the world. However, there's a big problem in America. We see it all the time. So now's not the time to say, we demand respect. Of course you do. Of course you do. But it's a two-way street. This was handled poorly.
I think communication is key. And at the end of the day, we need to get to a better place in the world where we make our points without yelling. And I think that was another thing that was really polarizing by this clip. Aggression and raising your voice in this particular instance like that is not a good way to be able to undo conflict. It's actually only just exacerbating the situation.
I have a lot of respect for the message he's trying to get across because we should respect the police. And we've spoken on this show, when I've seen people doing the wrong thing by the police, I am on the police officer's side. The problem I have here is that we have seen a lot. It's not just one or two clips. We have seen a lot and a lot and a lot of vision of police doing the wrong thing as part of these, subsidising the protesters. We have seen that older man get pushed down onto the ground. Now, I can understand he was close and he pushed him and it went horribly wrong. I get that. And to that point, I'm fine. My big problem, though, he's bleeding from the ears and then police are walking past him and they're not paying any attention. Then, to make matters worse, and this is a side issue, we have the President of the United States offering conspiracy theories that he was scanning their equipment and that he's part of some fringe group, which he's come out and said, of course I'm not, But the thing that got me about all of that is the police officers were charged, and what happened? What was the number, Robbo? Something like 57 police officers went and resigned and stood outside the courthouse cheering their fellow officers who had pushed this defenseless man down and basically left him to die. There was blood coming out of his ears. That's where you can't have it both ways. You can't be on the side. I get the supporting the blue line. I get that. But you've also got to look at when the blue line has crossed the line and when they're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, but just
It's
quickly,
a two-way street, isn't it?
just
And
want to
you're
say,
exactly
I
right.
know,
But they walked past. Sorry, they walked past him. They pushed him over. He was an elderly man, 75. They pushed him over. He didn't get up again. He didn't struggle or anything, and they kept walking past.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand solidarity in the ranks, and I get all of that. But at the court mention that you said just before, they held up black umbrellas. They held up black sheets to shield the officers who were being charged from the media. That's not a good look. And that doesn't help this guy in New York who's yelling and screaming. It's protectionism, but it's wrong, though. I would suggest, I can see the image in my head, and it's an image I really don't want to relive all the time, but it's an image where you see, probably 4, 5, 6, 7 police officers walk past that man. Now, sorry, I just want to go back. Isn't it to serve and protect? Aren't you there to help us? So if that's happened, it's happened in an instant, but wouldn't you just bloody stop and just check to see if the man was okay?
Yeah, I think those police officers did come forward, and I think they realised that they'd made a mistake. And I actually, there was a tiny shred, tiny shred.
They're pleading not. Yeah, they're pleading not guilty. So they haven't come forward and acknowledged it. They're pleading not guilty.
I just want to be really careful with something. You know, like I've got this friend of mine, and just bear with me, guys, but I've got this friend of mine who she sends little videos every day about the 5G towers and Pete Evans type stuff. And, you know, if you're only ever watching certain videos there and you're only watching those little documentaries, then as soon as, I mean, I can understand why my friend is now, you know, believing that narrative. And I do think at the moment we are getting to see some really bad behavior from the police that is completely inexcusable. Like, and I have to say that I'm not excusing that behavior at all. So just be careful with, I just want to be careful with that. But we're not seeing the man hours and the good that these people are doing as well. The media are highlighting some really horrific clips.
But as they should, because the police officers are doing the wrong thing. You can't just say, well, they, you know, 90% of the time they do the right thing. They're meant to do the right thing. And so when they do the wrong thing, that is absolutely the media's job to highlight that, bring it to the attention. And as far as the panel on this show, we are really well read. We look at a lot of news sources, so we're not just getting our information from Pete Evans. You know, look at the sources we put up when we put our headline graphics up. It's from ABC, it's from News Limited, it's from 9 newspapers, it's from overseas newspapers, it's from The Guardian. We get a cross-section of stories for this very program. So we're not in a bubble, we're only looking at one thing. We really are trying to get the full story here. And when police do the wrong thing, I believe they absolutely should be called out. They are not above the law.
They're not.
No, they're definitely not above the law.
Police brutality is not a conspiracy. Like that's not a Pete Evans thing. We can see it all the time now. Even if we saw a bubble, if you want to call it that, where that man was standing there, it's irrelevant what was happening before, because we saw him just standing there. There wasn't a big group. They weren't rushing. They pushed him over and kept walking over him. That's not a conspiracy.
I think you need to have a look at that.
Like taking it out of
have a look at that
context.
clip again, because, you know, Robbo, I was 100% with you on this, and I the first time I watched that clip, I walked away with exactly the same impressions. But then when I rewatched this clip this morning on Ticker Jumpstart, there's a plug, I noticed that when the police were very close to him, it was all of a sudden he pulled something out and did this sort of weird jab. I think it was a phone, or it might have even been a walking stick for all of this man's, you know, accountability. But there was this one moment where it did all of a sudden look quite dangerous. And so did the punishment fit the crime? Absolutely not. It was a horrific thing that happened to that man, but I just am not 100% ready to condemn the entire American police force. I want to iron out the mistakes they make, and I want them to be accountable for things that they do wrong, but I just am not ready to villainize the police right across America when only 10% of them are making fundamental mistakes.
Ben, what I would say to that is that I said at the very top of this, I actually didn't have a problem with them pushing him away. He maybe got a bit close and all that kind of stuff. But when he was lying on the ground and people were walking past him, that's an issue.
Yeah, I know. And it was horrific. Like the whole thing, the first time I saw it, it was horrific. The second time I saw it, and it's a vision I can't get out of my mind. But I think that's why I'm just wanting to highlight the fact that I think somewhere in the message that this police officer was saying at this rally, it could have been handled so much better. And I just didn't appreciate his aggressive nature, but I'm trying to look at it at a 360 degree.
As you do. If you're a fan of the comedies Little Britain and Come Fly With Me, you might have to dust off the old DVDs if you want to watch them. That's because Netflix, BBC iPlayer and BritBox have all removed the shows. There's been growing concerns they're no longer appropriate in today's world. Stars Matt Lucas and David Williams said it was lazy comedy. They didn't mean to be offensive and wanted to show off the diverse characters they could play. Robbo, is it an overreaction, or in today's climate, fair enough?
No, it's an overreaction. Okay, so the characters that we're doing were not making fun of the color of the skin; they were just portraying characters. So I'm really torn on this because you can have what do you call it? An accent, and you can do a German accent, a French accent. You can do all of that, but the moment you do, an Arabic accent or an Asian accent, that's considered to be racist. Now, it's depending on what the comedian is saying. So if they're perpetuating stereotypes and things like that, then yeah, probably not. But look, I really just don't think these were just characters that they were portraying. And why can't... Oh, no, I can't say that. With Come Fly With Me on Little... No, with Come Fly With Me in Little Britain, there are people who are, they're in society. So can we only just... showcase. It worries me when comedians are censored. David Williams and Matt Lucas have come out and said, it was lazy comedy. Obviously they've done the right thing there. Do I like this comedy? Yeah, I do. Would I like it if they were aggressive or, just made African Americans out to be just robbers or thieves or, eating watermelon on the porch? Of course I don't want to see that. That's not funny and that's just not appropriate. But if I want to see a black woman portrayed by a big fat gay man and he's just portraying a character like any other actor, I'm not sure that I see... Which is what
they did on those shows. They portrayed every character pretty much that appeared on those shows, and they played a variety of characters. So all of a sudden you're saying...
But never maliciously, right?
Correct. But what I would say, Ben, to this is... I get the feeling they would probably not do those characters now, but do we need to understand, Ben, that that's what it was and we should still be able to watch it because we're censoring history?
Yeah, it needs to be taken off the television, guys, because it's not appropriate anymore. I think the boys have made a real... I mean, it's also their product and they understand it. I don't think they're playing safe here. I think that... Look, let me just say this. I was brought up on some really, really funny comedy, which I still watch in the privacy of my own home because I have all of the Big Girls Blouse DVDs and I have the Fast Forward DVDs and that stuff was highly inappropriate. I just think we've moved to a different place now, guys. I really do. I think that stuff... I mean, Robbo, let me just ask you a question. Let's just say someone dressed up as you but overdid you. And let's just say they over-accentuated your downfalls.
That's what comedy is.
Not that there is any. I know, but let me just say the rest of the world takes their time to watch this comedian mock you. And then I want to ask you the question, and I want you to really think about it because you could very easily try and back up your argument by saying you don't care. But I'm just saying that you would care. And there are people that care. And there's people that are sick of being mocked on television. So do I think that it's a knee-jerk reaction? No, I just don't think there's a place for it anymore. I wouldn't want to mock you in today's society with what's happening in the world. I really wouldn't. And I don't think it's that appropriate. And I think that these streaming services and places in which you can purchase these products have pulled back for a very good reason. And I apologize to anyone. Just to also give you some context as well from my point of view, I was on a channel, don't want to say the name of it because I get sick of talking about it myself, and I mimicked a scene from Fast Forward, and I thought it was really funny. And when I got off the show, a few people stopped me in the street to say how inappropriate it was for me to have behaved like that. And I was like, oh, shut up and go away. But then when I rewatched it again, I thought about the look on their face and the fact that they said I was mocking them. I've put it under the magnifying glass and I've rethought about it, and I don't think it's appropriate.
Yes, Ben, if I could just use a quick time machine, I'm going to go back about 5 hours when you did ask me a question. I appreciate that, and I'm going to answer that now. Would I care? Look, no, I really wouldn't, and I'm being honest with you there. Angela Bishop once dressed up as me on Studio 10 for Halloween. I thought it was hilarious. There was mannerisms, there was the hair, there was the way I talk. I didn't mind. What we're seeing here is the Little Britain people are not creating or having a go at actual people at all. They're just creating characters. And what I like, actually, is that, the world's made up of Asians, of blacks, of Arabs, or, all these different people. And I don't mind seeing them on my comedy shows there. The other thing is, this is not now going out on free to wear. So none of these things were free to wear, which means that we weren't projecting our thoughts or, ideals onto a mass audience. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But I don't think it should be taken away from people who understand the humour, who don't, go into it in a negative way and can appreciate it.
Yeah,
Do you think people were upset about this?
It's your choice.
Sorry, the screen went back to me, so I felt like I could talk again. And I know I've used a lot of words to say very little, but I just want to say, do you think there are people out there that are offended by Little Britain?
Yes, because people are offended
course.
by everything. So absolutely. But here's the choice.
Do you think that...
Here's the thing. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to watch it. Even if it's available on Netflix and BBC iPlayer and BritBox and wherever else, you don't have to hit play. But don't take away my choice, because I do believe the history of television and media and entertainment should be viewed, and especially viewed in the context of the time period it was made. And I get really worried about who's the arbiters of censorship and who's deciding what will stay and what will go. Let's move on. It started with a racist rant and ended with a swift flat slap to the face. I think I need a slap to the face.
There you go.
Video taken at the weekend shows a white woman repeatedly asking another woman, "Where are you from?" and go back to Mexico. Take a look.
Where were you born, bitch? I was born in America, bitch. Where are your ancestors from? They're not from this country. You're going back to Mexico. Bitch, you better go back to where you're from.
You just walked into it.
Excuse me. Hey, bitch, you just touched me. Oh my God.
Yep, you deserved it. Oh my God. In my opinion.
Wow. The white woman's husband has since apologised for his wife's behaviour. Robbo, as the man said, did she deserve it?
Absolutely, and this is the thing that
she deserved the slap.
Yes, absolutely. Because that woman, the white woman, actually went and grabbed the Hispanic woman after being, abused for that entire time. You've got to say that when someone comes up to you, and the Hispanic woman was born in America, raised in America, and you've got this idiot, this Karen, who's going up to her and having a go at her. Of course, if someone grabs you. And it wasn't even a hard slap. It wasn't a punch. It wasn't a big fight. And to have that privileged little Karen bitch
Robbo,
walking away
I'm
going,
just a little confused. Haven't you been saying that we shouldn't be using violence to deal with the protesters and everything like that? Now, this woman said absolutely inappropriate things, right? She said absolutely inappropriate things. No one's defending what she said. But is violence the answer? You're saying yes.
She grabbed someone. And in light of what was going up until that moment, I can understand why the poor Hispanic woman would react that way. Now, that's very different to police protests and very different from what I've said before. Not even in the same bloody realm of what you're saying. It's apples and oranges here.
It's violence.
If the white woman didn't grab her and then she just turned and smacked her, then I'd be like, come on, dude. But it wasn't like that. This woman had badgered her. And it was a reaction. The woman grabbed her. She's an awful person, and she deserves everything she gets.
I'll give you an example of what you could do in this situation. And when you get faced with crazy, you'll walk away. And so when you see batshit Karen come up to you and start saying that sort of stuff, what I would do is I would remove myself from the situation. I wouldn't give them any airtime. The one best tool we can use when it comes to being faced with adversity like that is silence and remove yourself because that's the right thing to do and that's the safe thing to do. I can understand that in a state of shock based on what that woman was saying, that this woman did engage because she was genuinely shocked. And then when push came to shove, she did resort to violence. But what she should have done in that situation, she had a door behind her. And that's what I do. If lava was coming at me, which is the same as batshit crazy Karen, I just run away. Goodbye.
No, coulda, shoulda, woulda. I'll tell you this story. Okay, I'm not even remotely an aggressive person. I wouldn't punch. I'd be too scared and all that kind of thing. But I was walking to a street with a boyfriend once, and someone kind of jeered at him, and something came over me. It was like, I'm going to protect that, and I'm going to protect him and protect me. Thankfully, there were other people around there, and nothing really happened. They kept walking. Whatever. It's not a tough guy story. But at that moment, as with this woman, this person was in her face the whole time. Obviously, I don't condone violence, but let's be real here, for goodness sake. This is not a bloody, Hallmark commercial or a card company writing some tricks here. It's not. This woman badgered this woman. She grabbed her. She gave her a swift slap to defend herself. You can say shoulda, woulda, coulda the whole time you want, but when you're in that position, you fight back.
There is something to be said for... The problem is, we talk about non-violent responses, and look, did she have it coming? Maybe she did. What she was saying was absolutely horrific. But the bigger issue here, Robbo, is what the hell is going on with your monitor today? It is changing all the time. So I tell you what, I'll read the next intro and you see if you can figure out why it's going to your screensaver.
Sorry,
all the time.
were you focusing on my background or what I was saying?
I got ADHD, so I started focusing.
City.
I started focusing
like, oh
on the
my God.
background. That's what
I'm
happens,
in Melbourne
Robbo.
right now, and Robbo was in New York. It was amazing. I was like, wish I could travel to New York like that in a better time.
I can't wait for topic 5 because there's a buzzword that's coming up in topic 5 that perfectly captures both of you. But anyway,
all right, here we go. Here we go. We're at topic 4, just for those counting at home. The New South Wales government is defending its decision to spend a whopping $1.2 million on indoor plants. The 3-year contract for its new offices in Parramatta, but the Public Service Association thinks it's astonishing, especially at a time when the government is trying to freeze wages. Robbo, can the plants wait?
This is kind of a tightrope walk, and I really want to find out what you both think about this. What the problem with this is, it creates jobs. It creates a lot of bloody jobs for people, right? So yes, there's another argument about the public service being the wages being frozen, but this is also something that was already in the pipeline.
It's budgeted for.
Correct. It's been proven that it helps people work better. So these buildings are not going to be filled with empty people, and those plants just don't grow by themselves. So you've got to weigh it up, don't you?
Yeah,
like,
I have
workers in that government to feel safe and to feel energized, and we know from science that works with that. Also, over 3 years, that's a hell of a lot of people who've got to tend to the plants, water them, fertilize them, take care of them. That's a lot of jobs. So what are we? I'm more leaning to the fact is I want this $1 million to be paid because it creates a lot of jobs and keeps a lot of people happy.
In the scheme of things, $1 million is not a lot of money in the scheme of things. Wages are a lot more. And it's not like if they save that $1 million, is everyone going to get a $1 pay rise? No, they're not. It doesn't work like that. That money would be used for something else. And Ben, the fact is, when you start something, you got to make it. You got to get everything you want for this building, because if you don't put the plants in now, they will never come. So
yeah,
don't try to take the money away. I have no problem with this whatsoever. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I just didn't realize my partner got a new job, because I was like, he would definitely green light a whole bunch of plants. If you walk through my house, all of our money goes on 60% of plants. I'm not saying we're millionaires, but if we were, let me tell you, he'd spend $1 million on plants. A person came around to my house the other day and they were like, what is going on in here? It looks like a florist. But
maybe we need plants on the set.
We do. I think we need. Yeah, we do. Probably do. With my Armageddon set, I should got to stop saying that. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I can understand why people would be upset when they'd see $1 million being spent on plants when they're out of work, and I can see why people get upset about this. But look, that's how I feel.
Things to get upset about.
I'm actually more upset about the fact that it's been reported that New South Wales government spent $1 billion, I don't want to sound like Dr. Evil there, but $1 billion on PPE equipment for COVID-19 from China. And the whole idea was that if we could source it from Australia, which we can, we would do that.
All right, completely different issue, but I take your point.
No, but you would get up in arms about that, wouldn't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But Robbo, to that, I'd just like to say, do pineapples belong on pizza?
Oh, God.
No,
He's just.
absolutely
We're not
not.
going off topic. Hey, we might only be halfway through the year. We're on topic 5 now. But the worst buzzwords have already been decided for 2020. The Buzzsaw is an online tool that takes those annoying buzzwords out of press releases, speeches, and blogs and lists them. The standouts are the following: curated. The judges said this word has been brutalised by hipster culture. Google anything, burgers, fried chicken or antibacterial wipes and you'll find a curated list. Mainstream media, a tedious blame fest, thinly disguising a lack of ability to debate properly. And finally, going forward, the judges said they long for the day someone writes going backward. Robbo, you like to get your mouth around words, Robbo. Any buzzwords you'd like to add?
You know what I don't like is when someone says, can we do that? Now,
What's wrong with that? Can we do that? Can we do that?
No, different way. So there might be like all these boxes moved, and one person says, look, can we get those boxes moved? They do not mean themselves, they mean, can you do it? And I hate
That's
that.
management.
Just say, can you do that? And well, there's a
Hang
lot
on,
of
didn't I
problems
say
with
that exact phrase to you when you were down at my place?
No, I think there have been about, on count, I've got a special digital clock here. You've actually said it to me about 5,325,619 times. Hey guys, can we get me a toasted sandwich? Can we get me a cup of tea? No, get yourself a cup of tea. So I hate the can we.
Yeah, right. Ben, are there any words that you hate or phrases?
I just find it really difficult when people say asked a question. I'm like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
asked a
good one.
question. You
Good.
asked a question. What? I don't understand. And then I'm like,
Totally
have you got a list? Oh, I don't understand it. But do you know what? It's actually really common that people say asked. And I want to know where it came from. And I wanted to stop.
Terrible.
All right.
Agree with
All right.
Benny. Agree.
Thank you, boys. Now it's time to get the very latest news headlines. And for that, we cross to the Ticker newsroom with Aaron Young.
Let's check the news headlines from Ticker now. The more we know about COVID-19, the less it makes sense. And now the World Health Organisation's moved to clarify its position on whether people without symptoms are widely spreading the disease. A WHO executive has called asymptomatic transmissions very rare. That's led to widespread debate within the scientific community. The number of Americans who've died because of the virus now stands at more than 111,000. Morgan Stanley now says it's lifting its case forecast for the US by about 200,000 people. Black Lives Matter protests are expected to delay the easing of COVID-19 restrictions in Australia by at least a week. News Corp today reporting the National Cabinet's likely to ditch plans to adopt a more rapid scaling back of social restrictions. That alone could cost the economy an extra $1 billion. The Trade Minister is calling on his Chinese counterpart to pick up the phone. It comes as the Chinese government calls on students to avoid travelling to or returning to Australia in an escalation of a bitter dispute between the two nations. The Trade Minister says Australia holds itself to a much higher standard than other nations. And don't expect things to change at Bunnings anytime soon in regards to their social distancing restrictions. Wesfarmers boss warning the steps taken by the retailer to prevent the spread of coronavirus in its stores will have to stay in place for the immediate future. The weather map for today across the nation: Melbourne heading for a top of 16 degrees, showers developing later, Sydney overcast and 18, Brisbane 24 and cloudy, Perth cloudy and 24, sunny, and Adelaide a top there of 15 degrees. The local market now: Australian shares have fallen at the open but making somewhat of a recovery as the stocks in Europe and the US have also retreated. Have a look at the US now. The S&P 500 and the Dow Jones ended their sessions lower. That's despite the tech-heavy Nasdaq hitting a record high for the third straight session. This is Ticker. You are up to date.
Aaron Young, you legend. Thank you very much. Now it's time for Robbo.
Thank you very much, Rob. MasterChef Australia continues to dominate ratings across the country, and we saw it last night when they have these pressure tests that you could not believe. Now, last night, a recipe is a good friend for a chef. They didn't have one. They had to create a complex curry without a recipe. I can barely make toast without a recipe, but unfortunately, Sarah was the one that was sent home. Let's take a look at that moment now.
Sarah, your curry was too thin, which meant that it had no opportunity to hold on to the flavours of the dish. I'm really sorry, you're going home.
Always tough to see one of our favourites go home. Sarah, welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo show. At-home chefs... to at-home chefs, that would seem like an impossible task. How do you even approach something like that where you don't even have a recipe?
It is an impossible task. I mean, if you think about it, Chef Benjamin Cooper has spent 20 years perfecting this curry, and it involves every time he cooks it. And we've been given 90 minutes and no recipe and told, you've got to recreate it as close as possible to this guy's curry. I mean, that is impossible.
Well, you've obviously been on the show before because it's, MasterChef Australia Back to Win. Have you ever had a challenge like that, either on the show or off the show where you had to do something like that? So were you able to think, oh, no, I can do this, or was it just complete fear?
It was practically complete fear. I've never really had to recreate such a complex and personal dish that didn't have my own stamp or flair on it, you know. So it was a really, really difficult task, but God, it was fun, actually.
Oh, that's good. That's good, because actually last night with those pressure tests, we've seen them before on the show, but it really looked like it was taking its toll on everyone in the kitchen. Let's have a look.
10 minutes. He starts cooking the curry at 10 minutes. I'm like, what in the world? Who cooks curry? And then I realize he doesn't fry the curry paste and then let it boil and reduce and simmer. I've made a serious error here. I don't even know how I'm going to start this. I can't start again. There's literally 10 minutes to go. I need to cook off the roti. I need to finish off the rice. I need to make sure the fish is cooked. I need to plate up. There's no time to start again. I have to commit to this. I have to go with it.
Multitasking.
Sarah, take me back to that moment where you realised that you had made that huge mistake. What was it like? Was it the world crashing down, or was it... What was happening in your head?
It was so devastating, because I should have been listening from the start. This is a Northern Thai style curry, which I know in Northern Thai style food, they don't usually cook off the curry paste that heavily. It's actually literally just boiled into the stock. I don't know why it didn't register right at the beginning. It was just like this pressure system. And, you know, I'm known for my Southeast Asian food. So there was this added pressure of like, well, this is my challenge to lose.
So with that, when you realise that there's a big mistake happen, what's easier for you to do? To admit defeat? Or do you think you've got enough faith in yourself to try and fix it?
Never admit defeat. I think the whole thing is to have that paradigm shift, you know, to think positively and to part as you can to get that over the line. Yes, it's not right, but surely you can get it closer and closer and closer you want. And it's all about having that good attitude.
Now, Sarah, you've spoken before about your diabetes diagnosis. How does that affect your time in such a high-pressure environment like the MasterChef Australia kitchen?
It's really difficult, actually, because you're in a very stressful environment, and stress also impacts your glucose. It also, you know, there's inconsistencies in when you're eating, what you're tasting, what you're cooking with. So it requires a lot of dedication to, you know, to focus and be really careful about, you know, my blood sugars and what my body needs.
Does that change the way that you cook for other people? Now that you've got this diagnosis, now you understand what that means for people who also have diabetes. Does that change the way you cook or the way that you approach cooking?
Well, yeah, that's actually the big one. But also,
it definitely means that I need to think of other ways to balance flavors. I need to think of other ways to incorporate sugar or sweetness into my dish without, you know, essentially overflowing with sugar, you know, putting so much sugar into the dish. So it has in the way I cook for others and definitely impacted the way I cook for myself.
That's fantastic, isn't it? Because obviously, you know, a lot of chefs or most chefs will cook for others, but you're cooking for others in a really kind of special way, taking into account, you know, a smaller part of the population, but a very important part of the population who is living with diabetes. I think that's a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely is it's a considered choice. And it doesn't mean that the flavor of my food is impacted. It just means that I have to think of different ways, more creative ways of achieving that same flavor.
Sarah, I've got to say to you, I've bloody loved you from all of, you know, your other episodes of MasterChef. I still love you now. Everyone loves you. There's enthusiasm. There's your support for other contestants. We're really going to miss it, I think, in the kitchen. But we want to know what's happening for you next.
Oh, thanks, Robbo. That actually really means a lot. Next for me, I've actually got a cookbook coming out. It's now available online in Australia and also on shelves in the UK, called Sweet, Savoury, Spicy. It is all about my Southeast Asian heritage, and it's all about dishes that are much, much, much easier than any pressure test. I guarantee you.
I should hope so, because I couldn't handle it. I'd throw my hands up within the first minute. Now, where can we find that book? You said in bookstores, but where else can we find it?
Yeah, so Sweet Icy is available through Amazon Australia, Book Depository. If you follow me on Instagram, Fill My Tummy, you'll definitely be able to see where you can get it and any further in my events as well.
I can tell you right now, I would absolutely go and buy this book. It is fantastic. Sarah, you have such a wonderful way of approaching cooking. We're very lucky to have experienced that cooking on MasterChef. Very lucky 2 times. So that's fantastic. Now, I always ask everyone who comes on the show, what are you having for your tea tonight?
Well, definitely not jungle curry, but I'm thinking maybe some like a roast chicken with some Southeast Asian flavors like kaffir lime, coriander, garlic, soy. Oof, delicious.
All right. Well, what I'll do, Sarah, is I'll give you my phone number after the show, and if you could give me your address, I'll be right there, because that sounds absolutely bloody delicious. Sarah, we're going to miss seeing you on MasterChef, but we can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Thanks, Robbo. Really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
It's the random life shot of the day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the random life shot of the day.
Done.
And today we're taking you to Thailand, where the forecast is scattered thunderstorms, a low of 26 degrees, that's the low, and a high of 29. What a beautiful shot there in Thailand. Let's have a look at some of the feedback coming through. Lynn McKnight says, "Hello boys and Amanda McKnight. Mum, I told you never to contact me at work." We've got Carney saying, "I love your new set, Ben." Peter Williams says, "Do we still think Benny Hill jokes are funny in 2020? Food for thought."
Yes.
No, we're not saying that Benny Hill is appropriate today, but my point is that we should not censor the past. Jamie says, "Agree, if you don't like it, don't watch it." And this is the controversy over the blackface from Little Britain, and those stories have been those shows have been taken off Netflix and BBC. Malcolm Blunt says, "Are we overly sterilising comedy today? I struggle to get a good fast laugh today from the comedy out there." Gay says, "There have always been people offended by Little Britain. Back when it was made, it was controversial. It hasn't changed.
I love
watch
Gay.
or don't watch, your choice."
Gay writes the best.
And finally, we have Peter saying, "You just have to look harder. Great comedy out there."
Whatever, Peter.
There we go. There we go. Hey, look.
Move on, Peter.
Sorry, what was that, Robbo?
I just said move on, Peter. It's great comedy then. You can still laugh at it now. It's your choice to watch it. Stop being a snowflake. Next.
I don't think Peter's a snowflake. He's got a lot of good views that come through the Ben, Rob and Robbo show. Hey, look, it's time for our weekly look at the world through Bruno's eyes. And this week, the List King has a very special treat on feedback that was based from viewers of the Ben, Rob and Robbo show for his next list. Bruno, you have created the ultimate Aussie TV list.
Yeah, gentlemen, and this took me a while because I don't know if you remember, last week I mentioned that I'd missed out on watching a lot of television because I was forced to watch French TV. So I spent the weekend, the long weekend, cramming in all these different shows. And actually, the Ben, Rob and Robbo viewers were really good in giving me an indication, not necessarily of what were good shows, but what they considered to be very terrible shows. And Married at First Sight kept on popping up time and time again. But I didn't include Married at First Sight because I wanted shows with a little bit more longevity than that, right? So I didn't include those. And I should also say, Ben, I know that you sort of put in a few votes and you had mentioned Big Brother, but I haven't included franchises that are done internationally either.
No, that's cool.
I wanted to make it relatively purely
Australian.
Yeah. Because I think that the coming up with the concept plays into it.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think that's good.
I think it's a smart move.
All right. Well,
let's have a look, Bruno. I'm desperate to have a look. Let's have a look.
All right. So I'll just remind everyone how the tiers work, right? And we start off down the bottom with cat vomit tier. Let me walk you through it. We've got Who Dares Wins, we've got Celebrity Splash, we've got Arcade, McLeod's Daughters, and It's a Knockout.
I don't think Bruno
shut it.
takes commentary on these lists, Robbo.
No, I'll tell. He
Yeah,
does
they're not
now.
up for
First of
discussion.
all-
So moving on to the next tier.
Bruno, I just wanted to say I really love this combo that you've got here. The furry neck, it's working for me big time. It's no longer working for me. Who Dares Wins was a fantastic show.
Actually, I agree.
Not
It was a
really.
pretty good show.
No, Who Dares Win sucks. So they'd basically go up to someone in a shopping centre and they'd be like, hey, for this $50 note, do you want to do an activity like skydiving that people normally pay $350 for? And then the reactions would be so scripted. Oh, no, I'm scared of heights. Not me. Right?
We loved
And then
it, Bruno. Here's the problem. Australians love their crappy TV. I loved Who Dares Wins. I think Arcade's right there because that didn't last long anyway. That's a real obscure reference, actually, Arcade.
Well, a lot of money was put into Arcade to recreate like a shopping mall. And, I mean, for those that don't really know the premise of Arcade, it's like, the life and times of retail workers in a shopping mall, as if we've all been walking around shopping malls being like, I wonder what's going on here. What's this all about here now?
Although without it, we wouldn't have had the set for Neighbours because famously, Arcade became Lassiter's, where Lassiter's is, and all the outside locations on the Channel 10 set. There you go. We better have a look at the next.
I didn't know that. Maybe I should bump it up. But guys, how do we feel about It's a Knockout? Because I know that I had a lot of people talking it up, but I've got to tell you, for me, because it's based on a French show called Interville, and I would watch Interville as a kid, and then I watched the couple of episodes of the Australian version, It's a Knockout, and it's basically just the Bogan version.
Yeah, we loved it.
It's terrible.
We loved it, Bruno. Back in the day.
If you could just give me 1 second, I'm just going to get my phone and I've got to find the unfollow button for you because so far,
I've got to say, Bruno, you should have spoken to us before you finalised this
Billy J.
list.
Smith.
Yeah.
Billy J. Smith
Well, hang on a second. Guys, do we have an issue, say, with Celebrity Splash? Surely Celebrity Splash, all three
that's
of you
fine.
will agree
That's fine.
it was a piece of garbage.
Yep, that's fine.
Yep.
Let's move up to
Terrible.
the next tier, the pleb tier.
All right, there's some shows there. So Packed to the Rafters, Prisoner, Beauty and the Beast, Home and Away, and Hey Hey, It's Saturday. I think we can all agree here. Hey Hey, It's Saturday.
I think you're wrong.
We love the nostalgia of it. Like, we like the idea of Hey Hey, It's Saturday. But, I mean, I think it spoke for itself when the show came back a few years ago. And nobody watched it.
No, but it was of its time, and it had some controversy when it came back. Mate, I love Hey Hey It's so much. I actually listen to a podcast each week called Hey Hey It's the Podcast, where they watch old episodes of Hey Hey It's Saturday and then tell us about it. That's how much I love the show.
How much free time do you have?
Boy, oh boy. Had I known that, I would have dropped it lower.
In fact, people watching this show call me Daryl Summers. They reckon I'm a wannabe Daryl Summers.
Do your best,
Well,
Daryl.
hang on,
Do your
guys.
best, Daryl Summers.
Can we talk about Home and Away for a second? I know that it's got a bit of a cult following in this country, but what is it with Australians not really knowing how to act? And I know that that's a horrible thing to say, but don't you feel that? But don't you feel that the accent gets overdone in Home and Away? They add an extra 20% accent
because it's being done for an international audience.
Well, okay, that's fine, but don't expect me to watch it because I can't relate to any of the characters, right? I just look at them like, you guys are gross. I have nothing in common with any of you.
Fair enough.
I agree with that.
Maybe we should move on.
All right. All right, let's go to mid-tier, which is the Adam Sandler tier. We've got Man Oh Man, Water Rats,
what a show.
Wentworth, Full Frontal / Fast Forward, and A Country Practice.
We've lost the link to Bruno here. We've lost the link. Unfortunately, he's going through a tunnel. He's put A Country Practice on not the top level. What the bloody hell's Bruno, is everything okay at home? I'm worried about you.
Un-Australian.
Drop it
I know
lower,
what you want to
lower.
say. Back to the psych ward.
No, but Bruno, I didn't mean that.
It's okay.
It was a
I'll
showbiz
say.
joke. No. I've been in one too, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Move on.
I'll say, Ben, earlier in the show, I heard you talking about how you still have the DVD set for, was it Fast Forward?
Yeah, I have Fast Forward. I also have Big Girls Blouse, which is really funny, with Jane Turner, Gina Riley, and Magda Shavansky, and the Comedy Company. Fast Forward Comedy Company, Big Girls Blouse.
Do you feel like Fast Forward holds up? Because I watch a few of the skits and I was like, oh, jeez.
Well, look, the other week I thought it would be really nice to unwind on a Friday night and have an edible, which should have helped me with the process. And it was not funny at all. We just sat there and, we were an audience ready to go. It didn't stand up as well. But you know what? There's key things that are in those skits that still work, but 95% has sort of fallen over.
Doesn't it make you realise that even a few years ago, we weren't particularly clever with our humour? I mean, I just find the sketches to just be so blatant and without subtlety that I was watching it being
but when you look at it through with the 2020 lens, looking back at something from the 90s, of course, it wasn't a well-constructed situation comedy. It was a sketch show turned around very quickly, and we loved it at the time. But yeah, I've watched it back. It does not hold up. Should we move on to the royalty tier?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, Rob, saying, looking at these shows through a 2020 lens, I feel that the next two categories, we're doing just that. We're looking at it through a 2020 lens, and it's still coming out really, really good. So let's jump into royalty tier. So we've got Summer Heights High, Police Rescue, Neighbours, The Chasers, War and Everything, and Mother and Son.
Summer Heights High?
Oh, Summer Heights High.
I think
if you want to talk about humour and clever writing,
I think I'm the only person in Australia who does not care for his comedy.
Chris Lilly.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I can't understand. I can't understand that because I just find the guy to be so clever, so creative. The storyline is so absurd. And by the way, people nowadays are still quoting lines and characters from Summer Heights High.
Yeah, I'm in the minority on this one, so I'm happy to leave it there. But actually, I'd probably bank it down a tier, but fair enough. I know I'm in the minority. I just don't care for it.
Yeah, what about Mother and Son? Because that's fantastic.
Classic.
I hadn't watched it, and I binged episodes, and I was like, where has that been all my life? What a fantastically written and acted show. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a great
Gary
comedy.
McDonald's a genius. Gary McDonald's a genius, and Ruth Cracknell is amazing. If you go back and watch on YouTube, the last time she was at the Logie, she gave a speech. It might have been for like a Lifetime Achievement Award, but both of those they're Australian icons. Move it up the tier. Move it up a tier.
All right, let's go to God tier just to round it all off, guys. Frontline, Blue Heelers, Kath and Kim, of course, Underbelly, and Russell Coit's All Aussie Adventures.
Yeah,
guys, I don't think that we're going to have any argument there.
Well, my only thing is I would move Russell down one. I'd move a country practice into the top spot, and then I'd move Summer Heights High down to where country practice is. But otherwise, I think that's a good royalty tier, mate. God tier.
I think that's good. And look, because I've shown a few little people in my inner sanctum the list, and even though people have arguments about certain ones, in God tier, the two that no one has any argument with. Sorry, I keep hitting my mic. Sorry, the two that no one has any arguments with: Frontline and Kath and Kim. There's no criticism there at all. And Kath and Kim, wow.
Yes, Ben.
I have a quick question. I know I'm sort of sitting here just rocking back and forward. When you said you were doing this list, I chanted these things at you, and then I also tweeted you yesterday because I'm a crazy person. But where the hell is Love My Way, Wentworth, and Secret Life of Us? All of them are brilliant. They're not even on the list.
Hey, hang on a second. Wentworth is in the Adam Sandler tier above Prisoner, because I do believe that Wentworth is better than Prisoner. I thought that Prisoner... Yeah, Prisoner was just all over the joint, but I'll admit, Foxtel are doing a great job with Wentworth. So Wentworth is there. What was the other one? Secret Life of Us?
Yeah, with Claudia Carvin and Samuel Johnson, Deborah Mailman.
I watched that.
Where is it?
I watched that. I felt nothing about it. I thought it was just a mid-tier one, and I'm not going to stack out the mid-tier.
All right.
Okay, Love My Way. Last Love My Way. Did you ever watch that? It's a brilliant show with
It was.
Ben Mendelsohn, Claudia Carvin, Asha Ketty. Look, it was just so fantastic. I don't
What's
know where,
the
I don't know where it is.
what's the synopsis?
Well, it's basically it's a story about a very unusual. They're all flawed characters, actually. Do you know what? I could talk to you about this all day, but I'm going to send you a copy in the mail.
Yeah, you can't do a
you
know what, Bruno?
characters. Ooh.
I went to give you a synopsis and then I went,
Flawed
no,
characters.
you can't. Some flawed characters is about it, but it actually was a good show. Hey, Bruno, before we let you go, a couple of things. We will post that whole list along with this video on the TV Black Box website. So if you want to see Bruno's full list, go to tvblackbox.com.au later this afternoon and the list will be up there. Bruno, so last week you brought us Carl Sandilands. Who have you got for us today?
Well, I mean, there is my dog, if that means anything.
That'll do.
Kyle was still buzzing after that chat.
Oh, really?
Didn't it go for like 22 minutes or something like that?
Yeah. It did.
Yeah. No, he had a blast. He loves you guys, and we should definitely do it again.
Oh, for sure. And it made a few headlines, so that's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, it was really good. But yeah, look, I'd love to fight with your viewers online this afternoon or whenever the list goes up. Bit of argy-bargy.
Find Bruno. Bruno, where can we find you on Twitter?
Bruno B. Bouchet. It's difficult to spell, so don't worry. Like, I don't need people following me, right? If you want to follow me, great. If you're looking for me and you can't find the spelling, it's fine. I'm not so needy.
I'll post a link to Bruno's Twitter account in the story I put up this afternoon.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Bruno, thank you so much, my friend. We love your segments.
See you guys. Have a lovely afternoon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Bruno. Bye-bye now.
Well, Big Brother continues to deliver shock twists and turns, and last night we were all taken by surprise when Alan was evicted. But Alan was saving the best for last in one of the best rants I've ever seen as he left the house.
What? I am salty AF on turbo, times that by 400. That's like a landslide. Kieran. How the hell is Kieran still in the house? I don't know what he said and I don't know what he put in the drinks, but hey, goes to show people can lie straight to your face. I'm actually lost for words. This is absolute abuse. Alan coming out second. 5 days is just too short. Get me back in the house. I want to go back in and just, stir the pot a little bit more.
That is the best, Alan. Welcome to the Ben, Robbo show.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Oh, can I just say how much I love that rant?
Oh, thanks, I guess.
When you look back at that, do you have any regrets about that?
Not at all, because
Good.
It was what I felt. I mean, obviously, it happened so quick. Yeah, I was salty because everyone had lied to me during the day. I didn't know what was... Well, I thought it would go one way and it was the landslide the other way. So, yeah, I was completely blindsided and backdoored out of the house. It was completely unbelievable even to myself. When Sonia told me 12 votes, I'm thinking, me?
Yeah.
Me? I'm leaving the house? What?
Well, I have to say, I was shocked by the 12 votes. And I mean, it played out beautifully on air. I have so much to unpack with you. As I've said, you were one of my favourite contestants. First up, where did it all go so wrong?
Wow, so it really went all wrong in the last 45 minutes before the eviction ceremony. So the whole day, everyone had told me, Alan, you're fine, you're cool. Even Kieran had a huge blow-up with Casey in the kitchen. Casey's like, you're not here for the right reasons, and all that sort of stuff. And, there was a huge blow-up and, obviously there's cut and paste. So we didn't get the full argument as to what actually happened, but it was fireworks. And, yeah, Kieran was truly going home. Even Talia, one of my good mates in the house, voted against me because Garth had basically campaigned to get me out of the house, told everyone, look, Angela's here on holidays. She's not a threat. And Kieran, we know his gameplay. He's not a threat. In every eviction, you basically get out the strongest players. And, unfortunately, I was pitted against, at that time, I would say, two of the weaker players.
Oh, you're calling it out. You were constantly talking up your strategy during your time in the house. Here's how you thought last night would play out.
Just so we're on the same page, I'm not going to vote for you. You're going to vote for me or not?
Why the would I vote for you?
No, cool. I don't know.
Dude, use your brain.
Okay,
dude.
all right.
God. Tonight, I'll be voting off Kieran. He does not suspect a thing. Dude, you're beyond cooked and cracked if you think I'm going to vote for you.
All right, cool. All right.
I'm always 10 steps ahead of you. You think I'm maybe 1, 2, 3 steps ahead? Already 10. And don't campaign like you did.
No, I haven't been. Yeah, I got you. I'm not that stupid.
Don't do it, because the other day, people were over it. I always think faster than you. I always think quicker than you. I always think harder than you. He's going to go home.
I do.
And I'm still in the game because I'm one of the strongest players in the game.
Oh, Alan, to have your confidence.
Well, look, my confidence is backed by just, my mindset. It's a mentality. It's an attitude. And, I think that's why I'm successful in my everyday job, and that's why I'm good at what I do, because it's just the personal belief and, it's the drive and motivation.
I had to applaud you. You're like, Kieran, you're fine. You're safe. Just don't go petitioning everyone.
Campaigning.
But yeah, don't campaign.
So with the whole campaign thing, with his first eviction ceremony, Kieran was running around the house scrambling, literally running around the house like Casper the Ghost, and it was completely insane. He was just acting just crazy, and everyone was like, wow, this guy's just so full on. And yeah, I mean, basically when it came to my eviction, I was like, just don't scramble around. You're just going to look crazy. And actually, when I told him, yeah, no, it's cool, and when he said to me, who are you going to vote for? Garth didn't actually campaign then to switch the vote. So it's interesting how it played out towards the end, because I was unaware. I was told all this stuff, leaving the house. But
it's funny you say that, because I want to show you a moment from the chat with Sonia where it feels like this is where the penny dropped for you. Have a look.
Do you see any dangerous players sitting on that side of the room?
2. That's why I chose them. They're dangerous. They're very dangerous. They're lovely, lovely guys. But I don't want to be in the firing line, and I'd have to watch my back. So I'm going to get in early to potentially save my ass down the track.
So what do you need to do with dangerous players?
Cut their head off.
Was that the moment?
That's gold. Honestly, forget about the penny dropping. The penny wasn't even on my hand to begin with. It was literally, it still didn't drop, because when he kept saying, I put 2 people up there because they're playing too hard, too fast, I kept thinking in my head, well, wait a second. You've been in the house for literally 3.5 seconds. How do you know I'm playing the game too hard, too fast? Are you basing this on your own interactions with me? Are you basing this on what everyone's telling you? So then I realized it was actually because... So I actually met him in auditions, and he had somehow worked out that I was smart, and, he apparently knew my strategy, but it was actually the other way around. I knew his strategy, and yeah, so it's a bit of that wasn't really...
But you say that, but he outplayed you then.
Completely, and that's why it was a blindside, because the whole day I was even called into diary room 3 times during that day, and Big Brother asked me, Alan, for someone who's nominated, you're very relaxed today. Why are you so relaxed? And I'm like, well, of course I'm relaxed. Kieran's the problem. No one wants to play with him. He's literally like the Black Plague. No one wanted to talk to him. No one wanted a bar of it. And I'm like, well, of course I'm relaxed, because I get to stay. And, I'm sorry, but my mate's going home. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Well, with the whole tea situation, Ben Norris, one of our co-hosts here, he was surprised when we were talking on our I Am Big Brother videocast and podcast last night that you didn't pour the tea that you got. Oh, the tea. But he was surprised you didn't pour the tea. Yeah, the tea
of death.
Do you reckon that lost you the game?
No, not at all. So another thing that viewers don't actually see is that we actually could run into the kitchen to get boiling hot water, put it in your shirts, jackets. You can get water from the kitchen, the pool, the toilet. Yeah, so a lot of people didn't see a lot of how we actually melted the ice. So everyone thought, I should have just used the tea. And there's not that much tea. It's just only a small
I know,
fraction,
but it's about perception, is it? And you couldn't know because it is compressing a lot of time. But, oh, my God. Were you happy or sad that you got the tea and not Angela?
Of course I was happy because, I was stirring the pot, poking the bear, and I was, having a bit of fun. And I knew she was very salty. She was so angry. She was, driving people, up the wall because she wanted her tea and coffee, and we were living on rations. So we really people weren't surviving well in the first couple of days, but it was an experience. And this was, truly, this is the greatest reality show in the history of television. So such a great experience.
Alan, as I said, you were really entertaining, and I do not say this to every housemate. Well, we've only had one so far, but I really wish you had stayed in the house longer because I think you were terrific. Alan, thanks for being on the Ben, Rob and Robbo show.
Thank you. Look, they got rid of me. If I'm versing Alan, I'll get rid of me too because I'm in the way of them winning the money. So, look, it is what it is. What's done is done.
Fair enough. Thank you, mate.
Cheers. See ya.
I really like him. Don't forget, Big Brother continues tonight at 7:30 on 7, then settles into its regular slot of Sunday to Tuesday next week. And after each episode of Big Brother, the team at the Ben, Rob and Robbo show team up with Season 3 winner Reggie Bird, or Reggie Sorensen as she is now, for our Eye on Big Brother video and podcast. You can watch the live stream at 9:30 p.m. on all of our social media channels. Each night the show finishes and then the audio podcast goes up. Robbo, I really liked him, and talking to him, I've become a bit of a fan. What are your thoughts?
I was really torn last night because when the nominations came out, I thought that Alan was playing hard. Obviously, Kieran was playing hard. Angela, I've got to tell you, I heavily disliked in the first episode, but I loved them. It was really hard though, wasn't it? Because I wanted Kieran to succeed, but I also realized the value of Alan. I've also got to say I've got a big crush on Alan. I've got to tell you that right now. I think he'll be missed from the house, and that's. Ben, I'm going to ask you, this has always been a big problem or a big issue, I guess, with Big Brother, is that you look at people and you don't like them for whatever reason, but you've now got to think, but will they be better for me for entertainment later in the show? How does that work for you as a viewer now, knowing that kind of idea?
Well, I think it's an interesting point that you raise, and I think that's why producer Alex Mavrodakis changed the way in which the public could vote on the housemates, because the original format on Channel 10 meant that vote to save meant that we always were left with boring people at the end of the show. So then when it came back on Channel 9, you probably saw two of the biggest villains on Big Brother history, PG villains at best, would be myself and Tim Dormer. We would go as fast as Alan did. And Alex Mavrodakis said to me when the show was over, he said, if this was vote to save, you would have gone home week 1, week 2, week 3, tops. You would never have lasted it anymore. So, look, this new format is leaving us with different people. So it is very interesting. But I have to wonder, who we're going to be left with at the end. Are they going to be the fittest people or are they going to be the smartest people?
Very good question.
I almost worry, though, that because I love Kieran, I love the underdog, but when Alan's name was read out, I thought, now do I love Kieran as much as I thought I did? Because Alan is just stir crazy and just stirs the pot. But I don't know.
He wasn't authentic enough. He wasn't authentic enough.
Sorry. I'm ringing the bell because, boys, we have a whole video show tonight at 9:30 where we can discuss Big Brother. I promise you, you're going to have your time. So in the meantime, Ben, you've actually got some real time for entertainment today. So bring us your entertainment news.
Yes, very excited for tonight's episode of Eye on Big Brother. We have David Graham joining us from 2006 series of Big Brother. That should be very exciting. And making news around the world after 36 seasons of Cops. The network has cancelled the show in light of what has happened with the racial issues in America. Check out Cops at its best.
Yeah, this is really disappointing, Ben. It wasn't about black people, Cops. It was about people. I don't understand this thinking, but everything is off the table now. Nothing is allowed to go ahead.
No. Cops was about vilifying
poor people.
People who are, that's exactly right. This is the classic, the original poor people porn I don't think it's a bad thing to get rid of it, because what you've got to remember, when you've got these crews following you, you want to get the best things out of them. And when I say the best things, you know, the most controversial, the most rough, I think this is well and truly way past its use date. This show is ridiculous. It is awful. And I'm glad to see it gone from the airwaves.
How do you really feel? But anyway,
Bad boys.
But
So
Ben,
what you gonna do?
Ben,
Yeah.
there's been
Sorry,
one
Ben.
death, as in cops, but there's been a birth.
I know, very exciting. Congratulations to Lara Bingle and Sam Worthington. They have announced the birth of another baby boy. It'll be interesting to see what they name this child, as both the other names of their children were a little bit strange. I think one of their kids' names was Rocket.
Yeah, Racer.
And another one. And Racer. So I'm thinking I'm going to put my bets on calling this next child Rabbit. I think Rabbit, Rocket, and Racer.
And
look, I'm not putting any real cash on that.
And Ben, there's some interesting news about an ABC presenter.
Yeah, well, this one's a good one for you, because when I read this story today, I was a little bit confused about all the flack that this news reporter has been getting. I think at SBS, people are questioning as to whether or not this presenter is worth his $200,000, and the 10 people who do the research for him. It seems like people are quite cross about that. But hang on a sec, I needed to ask you, Rob, you often debate with this man on social media. Didn't you have like a Twitter war with him a few weeks ago?
Not a Twitter war at all. I actually like Paul Barry, the host of Media Watch, and they came to me for some quotes about a story which have been used. I think I'm one of the few people that have been on Media Watch in a good way, so I'm very happy. But I did pull him up because he was having a spray at Karl Stefanovic and some of the things he had done, which was all fine. But at the end, he got a little bit bitchy and said, made a comment about Karl not having any credibility. And I just said, you know what, you didn't need to do that. You don't need to bring down reporters and journalists like that. And he had a bit of back and forth. And I said, look, I respect what you do. I just disagree with you getting so personal about a presenter or reporter. Get them on the facts. Pull them up if they've done something wrong, but just don't get personal and saying they have no credibility. And he actually seemed to think that was a fair point. So, no, we're fine.
No, you are, which is wonderful, Rob, but I think that with Media Watch, it's so important. So if we're talking about it being a really expensive 15 minutes, I really think it's the most important 15 minutes.
Yes.
Especially now more than ever. Now more than ever, where it's almost like if you can pander to the base and say whatever you want and print it, we need someone that goes, hold on a minute, that's not even correct. That's not even right. That's not even happening.
Agree.
I think that this is money well spent and well invested.
Yes. And when Paul Barry's ready to leave, I'm ready to take the Media Watch chair, ABC.
Well, I think the major concern is whether or not he's worth his $200,000. Do you think he's worth?
Yes,
do you think
absolutely.
that's the right pay?
Yeah, and if I did it, that's what I'd want.
Well, we can't give you that,
look,
but...
And Robert, why are you laughing at me being the host? I've got credibility in the media sector. Can't read an auto cue, sure, but they can do pickups.
Robert, we're in the entertainment section of the show, so this is supposed to be.
Yeah.
What else have you got, Ben? Netflix.
So Netflix has come out with a new film, which is apparently meant to be racier than 50 Shades of Grey. I can't actually read it from here, but I actually have the trailer for the new series. Check this out.
It's just overlay, mate.
Oh, well, I'll have to talk through it. Here's these two people, and they look like they're falling in love. And, oh, no, there's a bit of aggression. He's going to take his pants off soon. And
so basically, it's gotten people upset.
Yeah, people are a little bit disturbed about it because the sex scenes in it look a little bit graphic, and it has asked the age-old question, in movies, do people genuinely have sex? Because everyone commenting about this brand new show is saying these two are definitely having sex, don't deny it. It's actually really quite funny. For me personally, I never thought anyone actually ever had sex in movies. I always thought it was simulated. Was it ever a question for you, Mr. McKnight?
No, it usually is simulated. There's usually 20 people in the room, although over the years there have always been rumours about some Hollywood stars actually going the whole hog. Is that the term?
Well, a famous one... No. A famous one is The Specialist. It is believed and widely reported, because I had a look at this today, that Sylvester Stallone and Sharon Stone were having sex through the movie The Specialist. So, you know, look, there's these rumors that go around, are they, aren't they? I think when it comes to chemistry, you know, it's sometimes the chemistry makes you believe things that maybe didn't happen. Good
All
acting.
right, Ben, we are at the end of the show, so I think it would be worthwhile to say goodbye to the viewers and let you leave us with the TikTok of the day. Don't forget we are restreaming or streaming again tonight at 9:30 after Big Brother with our Eye on Big Brother videocast. And Robbo, thank you very much for your contribution today.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
And Ben, what are you going to take us out on?
Well, I always like to leave with a good laugh. So today my partner and I had a big chuckle over this one. Here is today's TikTok of the day with Donald Trump and a very, very amusing dog who has helped simulate something. Oh,
Hang
God.
on, can I just say, I've become Donald Trump. You guys are hosting with Donald Trump.
Oh my gosh.
That went a bit
Can you
crazy.
make the noise for us? Okay.
All right.
Quite uncanny.
That is the show. We will see you at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Bye-bye.
It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo, Ben, Rob and Robbo, Ben, Rob and Robbo.